become the nature of our government and the secret government I'm talking about. So it has nothing to do with political parties. It has nothing to do with Democrat or Republican. It has everything to do with a government that is tyrannical and out of control.
My goodness, indeed. And we talk about this political paradigm that is no more the Republican and Democrat. It doesn't matter. We are this nation is a captured operation. We've been captured from within. And folks, just for those tuning in just now, we're talking with Kevin M. Shipp, the author of From the Company of Shadows. Folks, you've got to get this book and order it from Mr. Shipp's website, which is hard linked to HomelandSecurityUS.com. For the first time ever, Mr. Shipp is now saying that he wrote this book heavily redacted by the CIA, and now he's got a code. He admits tonight there's a code in his book that if you look at the code, perhaps you can decode the redacted portions of the book to find out the true story of what happened to Mr. Shipp and his family and the reasons behind it. This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible, Mr. Shipp. Well, I'm going to give you the floor. Go ahead and continue. And perhaps you could tell us where we are and what we should be looking at, given everything that's going on today with the CIA, the NSA, this monstrosity of an apparatus that's really turning inward against us.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, we are in a post-constitutional government in America, and as heartbreaking as it is, our constitutional government is over, and it has been taken over. It is usurped by this massive intelligence apparatus, its system of secrecy, and the members in the Congress and the Senate who have been bought and paid for, many of which are no longer constitutionalists. Really, they're neo-statists. So we really don't have any constitutional representation, with a couple of good exceptions, but not many, that represent the Constitution. They're more about maintaining their office and getting reelected and doing whatever it takes to do that. So we no longer have the balance of powers. The executive branch has become the equivalent of a monarchy. We've all seen the executive orders that the president has issued, really putting Americans' privacy in danger in terms of declaring martial law in an emergency situation. We now know that the NSA lied to us twice. First, that they weren't monitoring all of our electronic traffic. Then they said, well, we are, but it's nothing of any substance. And now we know that they have actually recorded the content of the conversations and the Internet searches, other digital pocket litter, down to our license plates are being photographed and stored in databases. So this is almost an Orwellian society we're living in, and I don't use that term lightly. We are now living in a surveillance state. We're living in a police state, and as a former CIA officer, I've watched and seen this monster from the inside. It is out of control. Every American should be concerned, and the question is, can we do anything about it? And my answer is, the size and the power that they have, if you face them, face against that, no, there's nothing you can do. What we can do is what we're doing tonight, is use the new freedom of the press, get the truth out there. And I speak to a lot of groups, and the rooms are usually packed about the constitutional crisis in America. There are groups all over this country that want our Constitution back. There's a huge groundswell, a grassroots network of people, real, true lovers of America and the Constitution out there, probably in the millions, that are joining together civilly to write, to speak, to protest, to work, to educate. And what I'm doing in the speeches I give is educating people regarding this constitutional crisis. We win it through freedom of the press, freedom of speech, and as I told one group, the United States was founded on prayer. It began on prayer. And that's how we begin America again, is by founding it on prayer. Then we go from there. We have to have courage. We have to have fortitude. What they want us to do is fear them. If we fear them, they win. What's the old adage? People that when people fear their government, there's tyranny. When the government fears the people, there's liberty. I think it was Thomas Jefferson said that. And we all need to remember, do not be afraid of them. We lose if we do that. So we don't fear, we stand up against them, we talk, we use the freedom of speech, we work together to get our America back, and I think that's a solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If we can find a free speech zone to speak in.
Right.
Kevin, do you think we have enough time? because I just feel that time is quickening. I feel that really are things are happening so fast. With you mentioned Benghazi, you mentioned I got to get your thoughts on that because I've written a number of articles for Canada Free Press and about the CIA operations center there and the running of weapons into Turkey. But I guess well, let's switch gears, and if you don't mind, let's talk about Benghazi because that's a subject near and dear to my heart. What do you know? What do you know about Benghazi?
I'll tell you what people need to know from the very beginning. The Department of State and the administration comes out and says that the Accountability Review Board did a thorough investigation of Benghazi, issued a report under Thomas Pickering, and the report showed that the Secretary of State was not culpable, and that basically there were some administrative errors made, but nothing serious, and they closed the investigation down completely, saying that Hillary Clinton was not involved, Obama was not involved. Well, what people do not know is that the Accountability Review Board, or called the ARB, the only thing the ARB looked at was the security situation before Benghazi. They didn't look at the attack or the aftermath of the attack at all. They did not interview the Secretary of State, and all the interviews that they conducted, they were not allowed to take written or recorded notes. There was all verbal, so there was no record. That's the ARB that they're talking about on the news, and people need to know that. There were several wounded people from Benghazi that were guarded behind closed doors at Walter Reed Hospital, and not even Congress was allowed to get in to speak with these witnesses. About 33 of those witnesses are CIA officers, and we understand that they're being polygraphed about once a month to make sure that they don't talk to Congress or to the press about what really happened in Benghazi. So I think this is the biggest scandal since Watergate, and I think it's probably bigger than Watergate.
I agree. And your reference to the ARB, of course, that was headed up by Thomas Pickering,
right.
Which, and of course he's got ties to Valerie Jarrett, if you will, and also Iran.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
So plus, obviously, the Benghazi situation, I believe if we really had an honest investigation into what was going on there, we'd find, and this is according to my source, Breitbart, of course, reported that there were 35 CIA officers and operatives and assets, but according to my source, there were many, many more, exponentially more assets, intelligence assets there, and officers and agents than the 35 that are being talked about. And of course, there are British and French and other intelligence assets there. So, and this was a weapons running operation based on our information. Is that consistent with what
yes.
what you know?
Yes. Okay. I think it's pretty apparent that the CIA was running guns through Turkey. Those arms and missiles were being given literally to jihadists trying to get into Damascus, Syria. And when the CIA was challenged on doing that, they came out, I think it was General Boykin, kind of shed the light on them about that, and they came out and said General Boykin is, quote-unquote, flat wrong. Then we find out later, they come out and say they're actually providing arms and equipment directly to the Syrian rebels, jihadists now, and they're actually admitting it when they lied about doing it before. That is a violation of international law to do that in the first place. In the second place, they lied to Congress, and they're still refusing to provide to Congress exactly where they're shipping these weapons to and who's getting them. I think we all know they're literally going to Islamic jihadists, and that is, I think, part of one of the big reasons why they don't want Benghazi to come out.
Exactly. Now, in your book, you've got a couple of chapters dedicated to radical Islam, Sharia law, and stealth jihad. And of course, I understand you're a professional colleague or friends with Steve Emerson, a man I respect. Yeah, I respect him tremendously. His work.
Me too.
And now, have we been infiltrated here via the Barack Hussein Obama administration? This regime, have we been infiltrated by assets of the Muslim Brotherhood?
Seriously, that's one of the things I talk about in my lectures. There are, 6 practicing members of the Muslim Brotherhood that are national security and counterterrorism advisors reporting directly to the President of the United States. Hillary Clinton's chief advisor, Anthony Weiner's wife, Uma Abedin, I think you pronounce it, is connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. Her relatives are active Muslim Brotherhood members. They're not now trying to figure out where she got the hundreds of thousands of dollars she made. But counterterrorism policy is actually being shaped by Muslim Brotherhood members who Barack Obama has appointed as his chief advisors in the White House.
It's incredible. So we're being taken over from within by this Islamic agenda. Is this purely an Islamic agenda, or is this a globalist agenda? I mean, because go ahead.
Yeah, that's always the big question. I can't answer to the globalist agenda because my expertise obviously is counterintelligence, counterterrorism. I know that it is an Islamic agenda without question, and you can very easily prove that is the case, and that these people advising Barack Obama are Muslim Brotherhood members. So it is without a doubt an Islamic operation. Whether it's a global operation outside of the global Islamic Caliphate they're trying to form, outside of that, I can't answer to that question, but I can tell you they are trying to set up a caliphate and overtake the U.S. Constitution, and in their own manuals they state they want to replace the Constitution with Sharia law. And we call that sedition here in this country. But the people whose basic belief is to do that are now occupying high positions in the White House.
Wow, this is incredible. Obviously, the listeners to this broadcast know we've covered extensively the infiltration by the Muslim Brotherhood. I've got several other questions, Mr. Shipp. Now, we're up against the top of the hour. Can you stay for another segment or so on the other side of the break here to take a few more questions?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Yeah, be glad.
Oh, that's perfect. All right. Just stand by for about another 3.5, 4 minutes. We're going to be right back. Folks, you're listening to a very special edition of the Hagman and Hagman Report on this, the 21st day of August 2013. Our very special guest, we're very proud to have on, Mr. Kevin Michael Shipp, the author of From the Company of Shadows. Folks, you've got to get his book. Order it from his website. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to a very special edition of the Hagman and Hagman Report. It is the 21st day of August 2013. This is a live broadcast. I'm Doug Hagman. In studio with me is my son, fellow investigator Joe Hagman. Together, we are the Hagman and Hagman Report. We've got a very special guest. Mr. Kevin Shipp is with us. He is the author of just a tremendous book, From the Company of Shadows. Now, we're going to get back to Mr. Shipp in just a moment. I got a couple of housekeeping things here I got to take care of.
Things. During the break, we played a clip of Chris Matthews, and the reason I played this is just to continue to show the level of idiocy, or what the mainstream media is bringing to the people. Chris Matthews in that clip was saying that by calling Obama, it is degrading to him, and I just found that absolutely absurd. And it just this is not news. This is not.
Well, Joe, I think you're responding to an email from Richard, to our producer, asking why in the world. Of course, he didn't phrase it that way. Do we give any credence to this moron Ed Schultz and the so-called network he works for? Well, look,
it's to point out what is being given to the mass populace, and it's not just that we know better. We don't want to hear it, but people listen. 15 to 20 people listen.
Yeah, but as well, this is an educational. This is educational, informative. Richard, you might understand this is pablum, but others might not.
We have countries on fire, burning, civil war. Our economy is in ruins, and they are talking about it is unchristian-like to not go along with Obamacare. It is racist to deny global warming or global man-made climate change, according to Al Gore. It is degrading to call Obama by his name. This is what they're covering. This is what they're feeding the American people. That is why I played that audio.
And what they're not covering is very important things, such as our guest tonight, Mr. Kevin Shipp. Now, Mr. Kevin Shipp, folks, listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. Mr. Kevin Shipp, formerly with an officer, an agent with the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, disclosing tonight for the first time that in his book that he wrote, that is out, and you can purchase, of course, via his website, From the Company of Shadows,